Okay, at this time, I'd like to, with pleasure, introduce Jennifer Giovanetti, president of the Claude Worthington Benedum Foundation. And I could go on and on about her, but she told me to remind everybody the bios are in the program, so I won't go on and on. But I will tell you that 6 years ago, she was the one person that seeded the idea for Focus Forward and has grown it ever since. So welcome, Jen Giovanetti.
Thank you. Wow, it's just amazing to look out on this big room and see so many people here. So I have the pleasure of giving the welcome this morning. So I just want to say what a pleasure it is to have so many people coming together for this event today. As Donna mentioned, it is the 6th year of Focus Forward, and we just cannot believe how this event has grown. Many of you have returned year after year, but there are so many new faces. I know we've been walking around the room recognizing that we have a great mix of people today, so welcome. What is Focus Forward anyway? This is part of an interesting concept that Donna mentioned we came up with a few years ago when a small group of us got together to envision hosting a program that would create a discussion around topics that felt like they were in the future, but we knew would be part of everybody's world. Things that would impact the economy, the state of learning, and workforce in West Virginia. And the importance of the topics that we choose also draws state leaders, private sector business leaders, educators, public servants, and this is what we want from this event, a cross-section of people that just have the intellectual curiosity to come together around some of these topics. On the program today, you will get to hear from both of your U.S. senators, Senator Joe Manchin and Senator Shelley Moore Capito. You'll hear from both of the university presidents from West Virginia University and Marshall University. You'll get to hear from Dr. Ali Rezai of the Rockefeller Neuroscience Institute and leading experts from industry on this specific topic and from academia. We modeled Focus Forward after North Carolina's Emerging Issues Forum, which was started at the governor level. Our event, as Donna mentioned, is hosted and planned through a partnership with philanthropy and the universities. So this is special to West Virginia, but the concept is really the same. It's through presenting topics of relevance and intrigue and bringing in national and local experts to the table that we can think critically about the future. This is our chance to have a guided look around the corner for what the future holds and hopefully seize new opportunities. This is precisely what North Carolina has done in the 30 years that they have been hosting the Emerging Issues Forum. I'll just say that while these events are really fun to plan and host, it's a huge amount of work. Thank you to the planning team from WVU and Marshall University who never fail to roll up their sleeves and do a ton of work. From my perspective, I just genuinely like this group of people so much. They are wonderful people to work with. They're smart, they're hardworking, and we all have this shared optimism about the future of West Virginia. This started with Gail Manchin, Donna Peduto, and Rocky Goodwin all in the front here. But today we have this engine of people that I'm so grateful to, including Donna, Liz Vitullo of WVU, Sarah Biller, Katie Farmer, who's in the back running the show, Canyon Lonis, and from Marshall University, we have Brandon Dennison, who took over the baton from Sarah Payne, Scott Rotruck, who has been a tireless part of our planning committee, and again, we bring back Rocky Goodwin now with Benedum, which I am just so delighted about. So 2 final things before we get the program started. The trustees of the Claude Worthington Benedum Foundation are small. It's a small but incredible group of people. I want to thank them for supporting this event through a grant with the idea that philanthropy can convene people as an honest broker for the sheer sake of learning and camaraderie, which we see because the comments that we get back every year is the richness of the connections and the networking. Sorry, I am Italian and I cannot talk without using my hands. And finally, the music that you will hear today was chosen not by Katie Farmer, but by Katie Farmer using artificial intelligence to type in a lot of hints and information about this audience, that it's a West Virginia conference with a certain type of audience held for certain reasons. And I'll tell you, we were actually stunned by how good the results of the music playlist turned out to be. So as you hear the music today, you can think about that. Focus Forward is more than just a convening of curious people who care about the future of West Virginia. It's a strategically planned series of events that have been stacking year over year. We already know what the focus of next year's event will be, so please stick around to the end of the day because Brandon Dennison will be giving wrap-up remarks, and he will share with you what our plans are for 2025. And with that, thank you so much, and please enjoy the day.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Liz Vitula. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Economic Innovation at WVU and the Assistant Dean for Strategic Initiatives at the John Chambers College of Business and Economics. I'm honored to be part of the steering committee for Focus Forward. We're thrilled at this year's turnout, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy the incredible lineup of speakers and panels that we have carefully curated to speak about West Virginia's digital identity. We're going to start off with a bang, and I want to thank our friends at AWS for helping us secure our keynote, Kimberly Williams. Kimberly has an incredible body of work in the tech sector with over 25 years of experience. She's worked with enterprise software giants, including Informatica, Curum Software, PeopleSoft, and Oracle. Kimberly now holds the position of Director of Strategic Engagement and Innovation at Amazon Web Services. Her organization supports strategic customer engagement through state and local government education advisory team and worldwide public sector global innovation through cloud innovation programs comprised of global cloud innovation centers, joint innovation centers, and worldwide public sector digital innovation team. Kimberly is a growth-oriented strategist and a market executive, experienced in revenue acceleration, market definition, brand definition, product visioning, and technical sales. On a personal note, in my brief interactions with Kimberly, I was so impressed with her expertise, her thoughtful insight, and her careful preparation for today. I'm so excited to hear her speak. Help me welcome her to the stage.
I, like Liz and Jen, talk with my hands, so I'm going to put that microphone down or it's going to go flying. Good morning, West Virginia and distinguished guests. Thank you for having me here today. I consider it a privilege and an honor to speak to you, and thank you to Focus Forward. This is just a tremendous event. I am Kimberly Williams, and it is an honor to be here today at Focus Forward, West Virginia's digital destiny. I just love the theme of what digital destiny means and what that could mean for not just West Virginia, but any organization that sees the future and wants to improve how their citizens are going to communicate, live, interact, work. The future is now, and this is the perfect time to have this conversation. I am the leader, as Liz mentioned, of our innovation programs for public sector at AWS. And what I get to do every day is interact with governments and higher education institutions that are innovating on behalf of their citizens and their students, working with them to solve their problems, figure out how they can employ technology to solve their problems and produce better outcomes for their citizens and their students. And every day I get to see groundbreaking innovations that advance healthcare and research and education and citizen service delivery by working directly with universities that have innovation centers that can do this work for governments that may not have the resources themselves to do it. Today is all about getting West Virginia ready to lead in tomorrow's digital world. And today is about committing to and defining West Virginia's digital destiny. But to do that, I think we actually have to define what is a digital destiny. That seems like a pretty basic concept, but in actuality, digital destiny is about the future, so we don't always know what that means. And it is about creating a roadmap about the world that we will soon live in, and where remarkable innovation will take us. So it is about the unknown. And some people think of the unknown is scary, but the unknown right now has so much potential. So there is an age-old question that we should probably answer. And I should probably advance my slide. There's an age-old question that we should probably answer. Do we make our own destiny, or is destiny written for us? It's a question that's been asked for forever, and across the ages. Some people say, oh, it is my destiny to do this, or it is my destiny to do that. But it really is a question of whether we create our own destiny. For my sports fans in the audience, tennis great and 25-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic often talks about destiny during his wins. And when he won the French Open, he said, "One thing is for sure. I feel that I had the power to create my own destiny." He believes that the work and the dedication allowed him to achieve that greatness, not that that greatness was bestowed upon him. Similarly, I was inspired when I was doing my research about a quote, or I guess the wall that's in the West Virginia University Athletic Center that says, "Destiny favors the prepared." And for everyone in this room today, with the goal of building a stronger and more connected and healthier West Virginia, destiny does favor the prepared. And that's what we're here to do today, is be prepared. Because it is that preparedness and that commitment and the fortitude and the vision of the people here today that will determine the future of West Virginia and write that destiny for this great state. But you can't write your own destiny if you don't know where you want to go. Now, we will never know the specifics of that because, as I said, it's the future, and it is a little bit of the unknown. But what does it mean to be a digital West Virginia? And how do we impact that digital destiny? How can we revolutionize how West Virginians communicate, live, work, and learn? And there is one answer that resonates with everyone, and that answer is innovation. The fuel of the next industrial revolution will most certainly not be mechanical, as it has been through history. Mechanical innovations have changed lives, have changed everything that we have ever known and worked for. But that will not be the next industrial revolution. It will most certainly be digital innovation. But have you ever noticed how easy it is for you to say innovation, or probably more appropriately, other people to say innovation, or you should innovate, than it is to actually deliver innovation and to do the innovating? For all of the IT professionals in the world and are in the room today, you know exactly what we're talking about. People have these great ideas, but to actually deliver on that is one of the greatest challenges that we have. And organizations in every sector, not just government, not just education, not just not-for-profits, not just healthcare, but energy, manufacturing, telco, financial services, they are all trying to figure out how to revolutionize so that they can deliver better services and they can be more competitive and they can, serve every aspect of society at work, at home, and at school. And it is the rapid advent of technologies that are really fueling that desire to do more. It is the technologies that we talk about every day now, the Internet of Things, the metaverse, virtual reality, and of course, artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is by far dominating the conversation right now. In preparing for today, I went back and looked at past conferences that Focus Forward has put on. And I was quite surprised, but also inspired to realize that in 2019, Focus Forward's theme was on artificial intelligence and machine learning and how that was going to impact the workforce. And the idea that in 2019, 5 years ago, before COVID, before some of the other technologies, have really pushed where we are, this organization knew that there was something happening with artificial intelligence. And the key takeaway was noted to be, and I wrote this down, that it is important to ensure that the transition of jobs, the workforce, and education into the future will benefit all segments of the population. Not only did Focus Forward realize that artificial intelligence and machine learning would impact jobs in the economy in years to come, but they also recognized the mandate to bridge the digital divide and make sure that every person had the ability to participate fully in the economy, democracy, and society. And that, by far, to me, is one of the most visionary things that come out of this. And to that point, I would say West Virginia is well on its way to writing its digital destiny, because that is something that you didn't hear other organizations talking about. But I do wonder if 5 years ago, when you were sitting in this room or when other people were saying, artificial intelligence will be something, did you realize that generative AI would be such a driving force today? I don't think anyone could really imagine how that has taken off. But the weight of this moment and the ripple effects of the fuel of the digital revolution and digital innovation that we're talking about, it will reverberate for decades to come. So this, I promise, is the only slide in my slide deck that is an eye chart, and I do promise that it is the only slide that contains any type of technical jargon, but I put it up here really to demonstrate a couple of things. First, that AI/ML is multifaceted technology. It is not just artificial intelligence, it's not just machine learning, it's not just deep learning, but it also includes generative AI. And perhaps when you had this conference 5 years ago, we weren't really talking about generative AI, that pink circle in the middle. But the emergence of consumer-facing generative AI in late 2022, as noted in the video a little earlier, and then throughout 2023, that has radically shifted the public conversation around the potential of AI. It has changed from a theory to practicality. It has democratized the ability to use AI. And it is certainly making every sector of the economy look and say, what does this mean for me? So let's talk about the impact of AI. Let's talk a little bit about what that means to the workforce, the economy, and society. First, just a few numbers. The McKinsey Global Institute estimates that generative AI will add between $2.4 and $4.4 trillion annually to the global economy. Likewise, Goldman Sachs is forecasting a $7 trillion increase in the global GDP and productivity to growth by 1.5 percentage points over the next 10-year period. No matter which one of those is right, whether it's 4.4 or it's 7 over the next 10 years, it doesn't matter. The impact that we are talking about to be able to grow the global economy at that pace is unprecedented. And it's something that everyone needs to pay attention to. Now, what does that mean from a workforce perspective? Gartner predicts that 80% of all jobs will be impacted by generative AI. That is both good news and bad news. Generative AI will increase productivity. A lot of people view that as just the negative. Oh, it will take my job away. But the reality of it is it's also creating jobs. And it's creating the ability for us to look outside of our normal populations and say, how can we use AI to engage more people, engage more populations, bring them into this digital economy? And this is why the time is now for West Virginia to build on that digital destiny that you started 5 years ago, where you identified that need. So I think we should talk about a couple of examples. I think Chuck Todd did a good job there of giving a few of them, but I'm going to give another one. And I'm going to start with probably a big one that everyone knows about, and that's Amazon. And you may know, but what you may not know about Amazon is for the 25 years that it has been in business, that technology, and specifically AI, has been at the heart of the growth of Amazon. And it really was written into Amazon's digital destiny. So, on July 16th, 1995, Jeff Bezos founded Amazon in his garage in a rented house in Bellevue, Washington, with a mission and goal of being being a book seller for the largest collection of books to anyone in the world that had access to the World Wide Web. That was the digital destiny he laid out, that he wanted to sell that. Now, clearly, Amazon has grown beyond a bookseller. And today, AI technology has continued to grow within the Amazon portfolio. Everyone in this room, I'm sure, is very familiar with Alexa, which is the voice behind the Echo, which allows people to tell, through voice command, tell Echo to play music, check the weather, do an inquiry. And every day, Alexa is getting more and more capabilities that are transforming lives of people. Now, some of us think of Alexa just as a convenience or as a cool feature, but think about how Alexa is also changing the lives of people with disabilities and people with communication challenges. Alexa is the way that they can really do that. Artificial intelligence helps them communicate. Also, and I think this was mentioned in the video as well, Amazon uses it to personalize your shopping experience. Everyone that goes onto Amazon understands how to use Amazon, how to buy goods. But all of a sudden, you see all these other things pop up in your cart that you never know you needed, and that $500 later, you found out that you did need. But it recognizes your spending habits. It recognizes what your kids did while you weren't watching, and and what they bought. But now all of a sudden, it knows what you're interested in, just like your music playlists. Doesn't stop there. Amazon uses AI to optimize its supply chain and its logistics. It powers robots to do the picking and the packing and the shipping. That really allows for efficiency and effectiveness and for people to get things. That same technology is being applied across multiple industries. Car manufacturing, BMW uses the same AI that we use in our warehouses to optimize their production and their supply chain. But it even goes a step further. Amazon Web Services, which is Amazon's cloud computing company. We use AI to enable businesses to build, train, and deploy learning models. And we provide these services to every industry in every country around the world. And looking ahead, Amazon says AI is the key driver to our future growth. This is an example of innovation, and it is a great example of determining your digital destiny. Now, many of you will say, yes, but that is Amazon. That is not a government. That is not an educational institution. That isn't what we do. We don't have those resources. We don't have the same challenges. And all of that is true. But Gartner says when you look across the board, 83% of all companies right now are saying that they recognize the power that generative AI or the impact that it will have on their businesses. So it goes far beyond the Amazons of the world. It touches every single industry and every single organization. And the reality for government and education is one that we should be really excited about. Technology has finally caught up with the desire to deliver better government services to the constituents, to drive better outcomes, and to create more opportunity for our students and our citizens to actually benefit through education. We have opened up the world with this technology. For government and education has never had that opportunity. And when technology finally catches up with that vision, it becomes a great opportunity. So a couple more examples that I think are worth noting. For my higher education group in the audience today, As I said, I get to work with these institutions, every single day in what they're looking at, how they're looking to use AI. And some of the most fascinating use cases come in the form of student success. Higher education is looking at how can they use generative AI to improve the outcomes for their students and increase their retention rates. They're doing this by providing AI chatbots to help them navigate their campuses. They're using it for tutoring. They're using it to really understand what they're interested in, what services they're using across the university, what can they do to appeal to them, how do they reach out to them. They're also using it to create better academic advising opportunities where they can put in what they're interested in and figure out how that maps to their curriculum so that they can still graduate on time. But they can still augment their majors with things that they just might be interested in. These are the generative AI use cases that are becoming just commonplace. But there's some other ones that I think are really effective. We all know about the generative AI chatbots, specifically changing service industries, help desks, but also government call centers and K-12 call centers. These were particularly important during COVID when everyone was remote. Being able to use AI in these call centers was critical for them. There's also a lot of examples of government and education using AI for intelligent document processing. Think of your courts, think of your school boards, think of your town hall meetings. Public records inquiry. Responding to FOIA and sunshine laws is incredibly burdensome, it's cumbersome, and it takes a lot of time and effort. Using AI to help you respond to FOIA requests or investigations or whatever that might be is a common use case now. And then just using web indexing. Another industry, financial services. Do you know that 90% of financial services institutions right now say that they are employing AI in one way or another? They're doing it to optimize their investments, to track consumer behaviors and offer new products, and also to mitigate risk, which is hugely important in the volatile financial markets that we are dealing with. For West Virginia, something that is obviously of interest is energy. 50% of global energy companies are reporting that in 2024, they will make significant investments in data analytics, Internet of Things, and artificial intelligence. It is going to change how energy companies operate going forward. And they're excited about what that means for them. In healthcare, AI/ML can transform patient outcomes. It can advance drug discovery, and it can integrate first-party, third-party, and multimodal data in ways that will advance discoveries and cures that we never thought were possible before. The World Economic Forum said the following about AI in healthcare. A future marked by generative AI technology will usher healthcare into a new era of innovation and lead in the space that will help create opportunities for patients, providers, and healthcare institutions alike. This is imperative at a time where many hospitals, especially community hospitals and rural hospitals, are struggling with financial situations right now. Having AI can help them, and it can produce better outcomes for the citizens that it wants to serve. So I'm going to take a step back for a second. Those were some lofty and kind of, I think impressive use cases. But again, you can sit there and say, wow, of course, that's what Morgan Stanley's doing, or that's what Goldman Sachs is doing, or that's what Exxon is doing. I don't have the resources. I don't have the experience to do that. I have other priorities. How do I make an impact today with AI? So the next couple examples I'm going to talk about are actually examples that came directly out of the innovation centers at two of our universities here in the US. At the innovation centers, essentially the way they work is we have government customers or K-12 or other higher education institutions that come and say, I have this business challenge, help me fix it. And using students and using the expertise of AWS, we seek to solve those problems. So the first one example is about education and cybersecurity. Not a use case that many people would think AI can help with. Cybersecurity, understanding that leap is a little hard, but let's talk about it for a second. Data breaches and cyber attacks are on the rise globally. I think we all know that. In 2022, 83% of all organizations said that they had at least one attack. The most vulnerable population within that was K through 12, US K through 12. Reporting over 1,600 attacks on our US K through 12 schools. That is a lot of it, and that was just the publicly reported incidents. The reason that may happen is traditionally maintaining the security of systems and data falls to chief information security officers and their staffs. However, many of organizations, K through 12 being one of them, cannot dedicate the number of staff that they need to keep up with the pace of evolving threats. So a team from Cal Poly, as I said, one of our innovation centers, AWS and the city of San Diego came together and convened stakeholders to understand what the needs were and help design a generative AI chatbot called eCISO, as in terms of Chief Information Security Officers, to help K through 12 understand their vulnerabilities and understand what their security posture was. This chatbot took natural language. It conducted interviews in everyday language, no technology, no technical jargon, no need to really understand what was behind it, just to assess what their security posture was. It was based on the NIST standard framework, but had the ability to include state, local rules as well. And it produced a graded report, NIST-compliant requirements, and actionable next steps to help improve their security postures. As a result, organizations were able to quickly plug their most pressing vulnerabilities, and they were able to take that formatted, graded report and share it with state and federal agencies so that they could get grant money to help secure their posture overall. AI is helping these organizations today be more cyber ready. That is something that's happening every day. Another example, which I think, again, for my K through 12 audience, is we had a school district in Colorado that came to us, and what they wanted to do was find ways that they could actually increase their security posture for students. So not cyber, but actual physical safety of their students within their schools. And one of the things that they recognized is that fighting in schools, the response time to how they would get to the incident depended on how fast it was reported. So we took video, surveillance video from the schools that they provided to us, massive volumes of this data, and we trained a model to understand what a fight looked like. What were some of the characteristics that a fight would look like on this video? So things like a group of students standing in a circle. And then we expanded that. A group of students standing in a circle, but maybe someone was on the ground. A group of students standing in a circle, someone was on the ground, and there was some type of downward motion of their hands or a kicking of their leg. All of these things went into training a model to understand what a fight looked like. Today, that model is 95% accurate. It can detect a fight at 95% accuracy, and it can notify school safety officials in real time that fight is potentially happening. So I guess you could say, well, it's over 95% accurate, so maybe there's a few times where they're deployed and there's nothing there. But imagine how accurate it actually is that they are able to respond to that quickly. As a result of this technology, they're looking to expand the capabilities of that learning model to objects. So they could detect vaping, or they could detect weapons. Imagine being able to respond in that kind of real-time capacity. AI is changing school districts. This was not a huge effort by the school district. They came and they had a university. We're talking about 6-7 people developed this for them. AI is powerful. And you don't need a huge staff to start your journey. Another example for my not-for-profits and my healthcare in the room. Phoenix Children's Hospital's mission includes supporting families with sick children without leaving them with catastrophic financial impacts because their children are in the hospital. But oftentimes, insurance company guidelines on procedure pre-authorization are constantly changing. And to prevent that, and prevent families from unexpected charges or denials in claims, the Phoenix Children's Hospital administrators manually used to go through insurance websites to find out what the pre-requirements were. The staff that had to be dedicated to ensure that these families would not suffer catastrophic financial implications in addition to dealing with their child was pretty cumbersome for them. So we worked with ASU and the Phoenix Children's Hospital to implement a medical document search to categorize and query regulatory and insurance company information, and redeploy their staff to focusing on patient outcomes. That dramatically changes how they do business, but it doesn't change their mission to make sure that families do not suffer financially. So those are some examples. I could probably give you many, many more, but in the interest of time, I'm going to stop there, because I do think there's one more thing that we need to talk about when we talk about defining West Virginia's digital destiny. And as we talk about the digital destiny, the impact on the global economy, virtually every industry, how we work, how we communicate, how we live, how we work, how we serve students, and how we serve our constituents, I think we do have to talk about the fundamental pillars that have to be included in that digital destiny. And as you embark on this journey to define, create, and deliver this digital destiny, and on the promises that potential technology can deliver, we need to have some guiding principles of what that are included in that digital destiny. That includes equity, lifelong learning, and of course, responsible and secure use. So we're going to talk about those three things real quick. Because I do think that, again, they have to be the foundation of what this digital destiny is. Gen AI is new, and it creates a need to evaluate how and when we use it. We had this conversation at dinner last night. People are still struggling to know if it's okay to use AI. When is it okay? It is okay that our faculty may not know in our higher, or our teachers may not know. When is it good, and when is it should they be able to use it in their classwork? Should they not be able to use it in the classwork? And there is a dilemma. As I mentioned, we know that schools are using it to help students with tutoring. But at the same time, do we then say, but you can't use it to do your homework? And that dilemma is something that everyone has to put boundaries around. But what we do know is a few things. That as we design our digital destiny and we start to implement it, we need to design our teams and our processes accordingly. We obviously need to meet regulatory requirements, and we need to protect our organization, our employees, our students, our constituents along the way. To do that, we must earn digital trust, and we have to keep that digital trust. The only way we keep digital trust is if we make sure that their data and their privacy is secure. And I think I saw on the agenda today there is a topic on digital identity, and I think that'll follow up on exactly what I'm talking about here. But no matter what we do when we talk about AI or any other technology, we must make sure it's secure, and we have to protect the very people we're trying to help. I think another fair thing to point out is fairness and bias. We have to make sure that when we use AI and we create it, that there's fairness and equity, and that these models that we create are unbiased, and they don't further some of the disadvantage that we already see across the board. And last night when I was talking, one of the things that really surprised me, but I was so happy to share with someone, is that do you know that West Virginia is actually a leader in this area in terms of defining what safe and secure use is in education? West Virginia was the third out of 50 states, to actually pass a bill for the guidance on how districts and schools can use artificial intelligence. You are already ahead of the curve. I think that's the second time I've said that today. So think about what you were able to do that fast. To be the third state to define that is really critical. It's not enough, and there obviously has to be more, but congratulations for being a leader and recognizing the need to prioritize this. The second pillar, I think, of any digital destiny needs to be digital equity. Many, many people think that digital equity somewhat starts and ends with connectivity and broadband. The reality of it is that is the absolute fundamental and baseline piece of digital equity, but it is not nearly enough. And it is not what digital equity really stands for. Digital equity is the ability and the equal opportunity for every person to participate in the economy, society, democracy, and lifelong learning. And we have to make sure that our implementation of technology takes that into account. And when we take that into account, by the way, there is also the notion that some people will never adopt technology. So how do we make sure we're serving them just as we are those who will adapt to technology? And some of those most vulnerable populations are, in fact, our elderly or people that don't necessarily want to be found. And we have to recognize that. Equity and diversity, though, will not happen by accident. We must include women, underrepresented minorities, and include geographic consideration like rural populations in everything that we do with AI. We have to improve outcomes and increase earning potential and close the wage gap. One thing that I am very, very passionate about as a woman in technology and I have a daughter who's also in technology is that we have not changed the number of women that work in IT, the percentage, since the 1990s. There are more jobs in IT, but the percentage hasn't changed. And in fact, it's actually gone down a little bit. So think about this. Until our women and our underrepresented populations, including our rural populations, have the opportunity to and are employed in high-paying IT jobs, we will never have digital equity, and we have to work on that. And we have to commit to that. And the last piece of this is that I'm very excited to talk about is lifelong learning. And the example I'm going to use for lifelong learning is really about our Tech Alliance. And I know there's some people in the room that work diligently for this. The Tech Alliance is where lifelong learning and digital equity are actually meeting. And I am once again excited to say, now for the third time, that West Virginia is a leader in bringing the Tech Alliance to your state. So congratulations again. So let's talk about what the Tech Alliance is. The Tech Alliance strives to achieve two goals. The first is to modernize tech programs of study and to increase the employability and opportunity for job seekers. Very basic, but pretty exciting when you think about it. So this is what the Tech Alliance means to West Virginia. And just because this is a mouthful, I am also going to read this, but I want you all to really celebrate what this really means. The state of West Virginia, specifically the legislative leadership and commerce, eagerly worked with AWS Skills to Jobs to identify key stakeholders who would be critical for a successful launch of a Tech Alliance. 7 employers in the state of West Virginia, including IBM, Trilogy Innovation, NextGen Federal Systems, Marshall Health Network, and the WVU Health Systems, with 2 additional collaborating organizations, including the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce and the West Virginia Bankers Association, and 4 higher education institutions, including WVU, WV State, Marshall, and the Community and Technical College System of West Virginia, all came together and committed to directly connecting more than 750 learners to employers throughout the 2024-2025 school year. You did it. You brought that Tech Alliance here, and it is delivering results for West Virginia. And once again, I congratulate you for that That is visionary. So the last thing that I think Katie and Liz asked me to talk about was, how do we measure? What does success look like? And if we look at something like this and say, at the end of this is our digital destiny, success has to be measured at each point on our journey to digital transformation and to our digital destiny. We need to extend programming to build, so as we celebrate connectivity, which I mentioned earlier, and we have to prioritize affordability. Those are foundational to any conversation we're having. But we also need to extend programming to build digital skills and increase digital literacy. We talked last night at dinner about the keys around digital literacy and making that available to everyone. And how we achieve those is going to be the top line of this chart. That is how we are going to leverage the power of data of analytics to drive better outcomes. It's how we're going to even provide more personalization and services so that we drive to that. And at the end of it, we will have a digital transformation. West Virginia, the technology is here, and the appetite for innovation has never been stronger. We know that our intentions and actions must be guided by the pillars that we just talked about, including the secure and safe use, digital equity, and lifelong learning. And we know that the future is bright. So today, we embrace our responsibility to grab that pen and write the digital destiny. Thank you, West Virginia, for having me. It has been my privilege and my honor.